Today I'm going to be testing out the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation on my over 60 skin. Welcome to Beauty by Des. I'm Des, I'm over 60 and I love talking about makeup, skincare, clothes and other bits and bobs that make me happy. I also have a website called Beauty by Des and I'm on Insta and Facebook too. And if you like the sound of that kind of content, then please give me a thumbs up because it lets me know that I'm on the right track. And better yet, subscribe to the channel so that YouTube puts my video in front of other older women who might enjoy this kind of content. And with that, let's crack on. So, the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. I am really excited to be trying it for you today on my over 60 skin because I have seen quite a lot of wonderful YouTubers over 50 trying it, but I don't think I've seen any over 60s yet. And I've never tried any Nars products except for the famous concealer, and I have just bought the Climax mascara, which I did try in another video, the title of which I can't quite remember at the moment, but I'll link it up there in the corner for you. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you the light reflecting foundation, I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to do a very nice sort of light, no makeup with very few products, so I kind of get ready with me as well. But also, just to let you know, I have been trying this foundation over the last 3 days. I am hoping to get outside today and do a little outside wear test so you can see what it looks like in natural light, because unfortunately I can't sit in front of natural light when I'm filming. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about the foundation. So it comes in 36 shades. It's called the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. I'm in the shade Patagonia, which is a light to medium. Now, it's one of these foundations that are quite popular at the moment where it's a skincare as well as a foundation, if you know what I mean. So it's got skincare or skin-loving ingredients in it. And they include glycerin, butylene glycol, it's got fruit extracts, it's got Japanese lily turf. Interesting. It's got some peptides, it's got milk thistle. What it doesn't have, and why I'm able to use it or to try it, is because it doesn't have any fragrance, and I cannot use any fragrance in my skincare or my makeup or anything like that. Anything that stays on the skin for longer than, say, 30 seconds or a minute, I can't use. And actually, while we're on the subject of my skin, so as you can see, it's lined, it's wrinkled, it's mature, it's over 60. But I'm very lucky in that it's normal. So it's not dry, it's not greasy, I don't have a lot of redness, I don't have a lot of age spots. I mean, I have a lot of moles, which are caused by the sun, but they're not age spots as such. And I do have some little sort of red lesion-y things as well. This one is a sort of particular, not bugbear of mine exactly, but it's one that I sort of look at when I've put some foundation on to see how much coverage I've got. In fact, it's funny, I always used to use concealer on some of these red spots, and actually I forget to do it now, so they're obviously not bothering me that much. And also I want a foundation that looks skin-like. I don't want to look like I've got maximum coverage, cakey looking foundation, which was why I'm kind of drawn to things that talk about light reflection, because I've actually started to use a highlighter now, which I haven't been using for a long time. I've got the Charlotte Tilbury, and I also have I think it's a Maybelline dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, which is really good. Again, I'll link a video up here in the corner for you where I compare the two. Anyway, let's crack on. I'm rambling now. So we know it's skin-loving ingredients in the foundation. We know it's got 36 shades. We know it's called light reflective. So let's see how it applies. And I have tried it over the last 3 days, as I say. So I've already got formulated some views, but let's see how it looks. Now, it comes in this really nice glass bottle. But what's very odd about it is this is the applicator, if you can call it that. It's literally just a stick. Now, how you're supposed to apply foundation with a stick, I don't know. So I looked on the instructions, and weirdly, it just says apply with fingertips, but it doesn't say how you get it out of the bottle. So I've just put some smears on my hand, and that's how I'm going to pick it up and put it on my skin. Let me just, there we go. Right, so I'm going to pick this up and I'm just going to put it on my skin like this. The trouble is when you do this, you then lose quite a lot of product on your hand. But I tried applying it with a brush and it just didn't seem to be as good, and I think it's because it is one of these sort of hybrid skincare foundations is it's got that slight sort of greasy, creamy feel to it. The trouble is, actually I'm getting a scent out of that today, but I know it doesn't have fragrance in it, so we're all good. We're all good, and it certainly didn't make me come out in what happens when I'm reacting to a foundation. I end up getting very dry skin around my eyes and my lips as well, and they're still a little bit dry. Let me just move my hair out of the way. I'm just going to pick up a little bit more product because I don't think I had quite enough there, so let me just pop another couple of bits onto my hand. But it really is not a very satisfactory way, in my view, of applying a foundation, because it seems a terrible waste really. Anyway, I'm building it up a bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sponge and just make sure that it's all smoothed out. Actually, yeah, I can put some on my lids. So anyway, I would say the application does feel a bit greasy. So yeah, it's not amazingly comfortable on the skin for me. Right, I'm just going to get my sponge and I'm just going to moisten it a bit, and I'm going to tap that over the foundation to see if it sets it a bit. Always the telltale signs for me are here and around my nose here. Has it sort of settled into the pores, which we don't want, do we? So let me just check in my mirror, in my lovely 10 by 10, which will soon tell me how it's looking. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, nothing going on in here. That's all looking smooth, which is good. And it's not, well, it definitely isn't very, it definitely isn't covering my spot there, but that's okay. I would say the coverage is a bit like a tinted moisturiser, even with 2 layers. As you saw, I applied 2 layers. It's not really covering up all that much. But on the other hand, it is a nice colour, and actually my experience of using it over the last 3 days is that it does dry down a bit. So as we go through the video, you'll see it hopefully will dry down a bit. And actually it's stopped feeling greasy now. It's a little bit like using a sunscreen. You know when you put a slightly greasy sunscreen on, then it dries down, you sort of forget about it. Well, I think this is a little bit like that. And I think the colour, the shade and the colour is really good. Oh yeah, I forgot to say there's a great shade matcher on the website if you go to the Nars website, so it's definitely worth doing that because that's how I bought this one. And I think you'd agree it's a pretty good match for my neck and my skin, and it's, yeah, I think it's a good match for my skin. So let's carry on with the makeup now. So in keeping with the sort of natural look of the foundation, I'm going to do a very light makeup. So I'm going to use the Nars Creamy Concealer, which apparently, I think I might have said this earlier in the video, that it is America's #1 concealer. And it's got a doe foot applicator. I mean, it's been around for donkey's years. I've certainly used it on and off for quite a few years. And I am in the shade Custard, I think, which is a slightly strange name for this colour. It's not a custard that I recognise, not an English custard anyway, which is very, very yellow. But I think this is a good colour for me. Right, there we are. I'm going to set it again with my moistened sponge, and then I'm going to set it properly with, why am I always holding my hand up like this, honestly? And I'm going to set it with some powder. I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury. Gosh, I was looking at this the other day. Look at this, talk about hitting pan. But luckily there's still some product there. So I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury and my lovely fluffy angled brush to set my concealer, which I find works an absolute treat. There we are. And the other side. And that is usually enough for me. I don't use primer. I'm not really a primer girl. And to be honest, trying to find a primer that doesn't have fragrance in it is a nightmare. Actually, let me know in the comments below if you know a really good primer. Doesn't matter if it's drugstore or high-end, don't mind. That doesn't have fragrance in it, I'd be really interested, because honestly, when you can't wear fragrance, it can take so long to find a product that suits your skin. I think actually at the moment the foundation is still looking a bit too greasy for my liking, especially on my nose, a bit too shiny. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is my brows, and I'm going to be very light with my brows today. I'm going to use my Bobbi Brown retractable pencil, this one here, and I will put all the details down below. So I was watching a video with Nadine Baggott, who's this wonderful beauty journalist, and she was interviewing Mary Greenwell, who is a very well-known makeup artist. This is the pencil here. Now, Mary Greenwell is about my age, maybe slightly younger, and so she's in her 60s anyway, and she is very fair, but she was talking about makeup and saying that she doesn't really like to do much with her brows. Now, my brows, as you saw, are not very dark for my dark hair, although this is coloured. In fact, I just dyed it a couple of days ago. But my hair is naturally, or was back in the day, very dark. But my brows have never been dark, well, strong. They've always been quite sort of sparse, really. So I've decided, having watched Mary Greenwell, that I'm going to be quite light on my brows at the moment. So I'm not going to do very much, just a little tickle almost of the brows to get a little bit of density. And actually, I have to say, using the what am I using at the moment? Using my lash growth serum. I'm actually using UK Lash at the moment. I've used Rapid Lash, which is very reasonably priced. I've used Revitalash, which is a lot more expensive. And now I'm using UK Lash, which is, I think, about the same as Rapid Lash, actually. Again, not that expensive. I'll put all the details down below for you. I think it's made a difference. I think, although I've been using it, it's definitely made a difference to my lashes, but I think it's actually helped this little gap that I've had here in my brows for many, many years, little, lack of hair there. And I've been putting it on there as well, just for the hell of it, to see if it works. And I think it has. I think it's definitely made a difference. So now we're going to do the eyes, and I'm going to use my Lilina pencil in Brown Denim, which is a kind of strange name. I'm going to line each eye, and then I'm going to quickly take my very fine, thin brush here from, I've forgotten who, I think it's Nars, oh yeah, Nars. And I'm going to go over it to kind of soften it a bit, and that's all I'm going to do, apart from mascara as well. That's all I'm going to do on my eyes, just keep it really, really simple. So there you can see I've lined my eyes with the brown pencil, and I've immediately gone over the lines with this brush to just smooth them out a bit and make it less harsh, because this is a very, very waxy pencil. This is fantastic, but it also dries down really quickly, so you do have to be on it if you don't want it to set as it is, and if you want to just smooth it out, because I want a really natural look today. Right, now I'm going to use the Climax mascara, this one. I got a mini. And I really like it, I must say. It's got a very thick brush, and it's quite a contrast to some of the mascaras I've been using lately, such as the Maybelline Sky High and the Bambi Eyes, which have rubber brushes, which I liked. I have to say this one, which I've used now for a few days, really doesn't seem to clump. I mean, I think it's a little bit hit and miss with mascaras, and it depends how long it's come out of the tube as to whether it's oxidized a bit, all that. And you're not supposed to keep them for more than a couple of months, are you really? Although, to be honest, I've got much older mascaras than that. But also sometimes on the first few applications they don't work terribly well, and then after a while they get better. I don't know what it is. Maybe it just dries a little bit, and maybe that slight drying process makes the mascara application a bit easier. Anyway, let's crack on. Right, there we are. So we've done the mascara, which I really like. It hasn't really clumped, and I've put it on the bottom lashes because I tried that yesterday. And do you know what? It didn't smudge. Amazing. Or it might have smudged a tiny bit by the end of the night, but it didn't smudge in the daytime, and that's the time that I'm always conscious of, because if I'm in the office, not that I am in the office that much at the moment, but when I am in the office, I do not want to look like I've got panda eyes. So the final product I'm going to apply is the Nars lipstick, and it is called Powermatte Lip Pigment, and it's this one in Le Freak. Let me show you. Now, when I first got it, and I bought it online, I didn't buy it in the store. I thought, oh, I put it on, I thought it's too pale, but actually it's kind of growing on me. I am a massive liquid lipstick fan, and although this says it's matte, when you first put it on, it looks liquid. It's got a slight vanilla smell to it. My lips are still a bit dry, I'm afraid. But I kind of like it now. I've kind of got used to it. I've worn it a couple of days running. Now you're probably going to think, oh my gosh, that looks so deathly pale, but it kind of dries down. I keep using that expression, dries down, but that's what these products do. It kind of dries down into a slightly better shade for me and more matte. Now what I'm going to do, and I tried this out yesterday, I'm going to use this as a blusher as well, because we're trying to be a bit minimalist today. So let me just show you, because one of the things I had thought about was buying their liquid blushers, Nars liquid blushers, but in the end I thought, don't know, not sure. So I thought just for fun, actually I may need to put a bit more on. Just for fun, we do a bit of double bubble and use the same product on our cheeks as on our, oh, I may have gone a bit overboard there, but never mind. We'll, look at the colours, isn't it really interesting? Look how that compares to what's on my lips. It's completely different, isn't it? Anyway, we will adjust the colour in a minute. In fact, I think I really have gone overboard. Let me just wipe a bit off. So what do you think about the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation on my mature over 60 skin? I think it's a little bit greasy rather than glowy for me, and actually when I went out last night I had it on all day, and I actually did powder it because I felt that it was just a little bit too greasy for me. I'm just going to powder it down a bit with my Charlotte Tilbury because I do think it's a little bit on the greasy side for me. I mean, you could, when I look, I don't know if it shows on camera, but my forehead looks really greasy. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not light reflective, it actually looks greasy to me. So ultimately, what do I think of the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation on my mature over 60 skin? I don't think it's suitable. I think it's a bit too greasy. I didn't like the applicator. I like the shade, but I wouldn't repurchase it. And I probably will try and use it, but I might think about giving it away to someone who's got drier skin than mine, because I didn't find it particularly suitable, and I certainly wouldn't be reaching for it anytime soon. If you found this video helpful, interesting, or even amusing, please consider giving me a good thumbs up, and better yet subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And leave me a comment below. Let me know, are you over 60 and have you tried this foundation, and if so, what did you think? I personally wouldn't recommend it, but I would be really interested to know if it worked for you. I'm so grateful you're here, and thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!